So, welcome back from my soapbox on why I get so fired up about volume and not getting so locked into 20 max. Um, Focus more on your build as a whole. I'll get questions. Hey, what should I do for this 20 max? And it's like you shouldn't be looking at it as what you should be doing for this or that. You should be looking at it as what are you doing for your build as a whole? What are you doing for your main slate? What are you doing for turbo? What are you doing for the night slate? What are you doing for the late night slate? If you don't know how to play something, getting many entries as you can and experiment. That's all I've ever done to learn any of the things that I play in is just start out super, super small. There's games right now I'm playing in that I don't really know how to play, but I'm getting all of the little 10 cent, 25 cent stuff that I can while I can and just learning and tracking and seeing what works. And if something works, okay, well, I'm on the right track. How can I lean into that a little bit more? So use your 20 max into multiple 20 maxes into a full-on build so you have something that can actually move a mountain, so to speak, instead of just hoping you bink the top lineup and make your whole night when it doesn't have to be that difficult. And we see this in the Mini-Max. This is typically what the Mini-Max looks like on a nightly basis. 50,000 people or so, 4,000 to first, that's awesome, but look at how quickly things slide down. So if you're in 7th place, you beat out 47,492 people and you won $100, and you're probably not even profitable if you max entered this thing. You spend $150 to enter into the tournament, and only one of your lineups got this high for $100, so maybe you're breaking even, and that's in 7th place. Another contest that you're probably not playing in, first place in this other $1 contest where you only have to beat out 2,000 of your friends to win, that you're not playing in is $100 to first. So same payout, much easier thing to do. And on both the slides, what score did you need to get 7th? What score did you need to get first? So let's go back to Fantasy Cruncher, Lineup Rewind. Phenomenal, phenomenal tool. Please get Fantasy Cruncher. They do not pay me. I do not work for them, but you're just really making things hard on yourself if you're not using Fantasy Cruncher. So go to the contest data, and this is from Tuesday. We'll look at the Mini-Max. So the Mini-Max, it took us to tonight's contest, but we'll look at it anyway. So Skeletor, I know that guy. He's a Manny guy. So, we got a little sweat here for Skeletor. But in this tournament, Skeletor is having to score 230 points for first. Let's take a look at 7th, 8th place. So we need 217 points to win our $100 in the Mini-Max today. So let's go down to one of these solo shots. And again, these are opening up all day long. As these contests fill, if DraftKings thinks they can fill another one, they'll open it. So get your dummy lineups in, check the lobby frequently, and start getting some more volume. We'll go to the $2,000 or the $2,000 shot, 100 to first. Look at that, 205 points. So a whole 13 points less, and you're winning the same amount of money beating out a much smaller field. So this is what Alex is talking about when he's talking about his, let's go back, sorry, wrong side. The variance side. This is how you spread it around. This is how you're getting a variety of slates, a variety of action, spreading out your risk. We'll move on to the diversification primer. So this just goes in line with what I've been talking about is you have to really look at, I shouldn't say what I've been talking about, this is what Alex talks about, and this is what I subscribe to, and pretty much this is applicable to, let's say, every day DraftKings runs a $4 tournament with like $10,000 to first, 20 max entry, so you're $80, you're trying to win 10 grand, and you're trying to beat out a crazy big field. I think it's usually like 40,000 people. The odds of you doing that are very unlikely, and your risk of ruin, you can burn through $80 at a time pretty quickly. You might be that at the end of the week, had a really bad week, and you're out $500. And Alex would recommend doing something differently. The more lineups, the better. And he talks about, for example, if you're playing $20, enter 80 lineups at the 25-cent buy-in level rather than a single $20 entry, or 5 entries of the $4 contest. This is the added bonus of not only reducing the variance, but also increasing your return on your investment. So many people won't start at the bottom and work their way up. They just want the big payday. They want to be this guy without putting in the work to be this guy, and it doesn't work. There aren't any shortcuts in DFS. You really have to put in the work. The best guys in the world, the guys that a lot of people complain about, the Ricky D's, the Chipotle addicts, the Papa Gates, all those guys are so lucky. No, they're not lucky. They're really freaking good, and they put in a ton of work, and they've put in the volume. They've earned the opportunity to play at the top stakes, and I don't know any other way. So all I can do is, hey, this is what Alex recommends. This is what I'm doing. And, make what you can, make it your own, and try to be as good of a player as you can. And the best thing about playing at the lower stakes and tons of volume is you can make a bunch of mistakes and it's not going to break you. We talked about 11 dime times, $22. You're not going to lose. If you're going to lose sleep over playing $22 of dime times, you shouldn't be playing DFS. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful or facetious when I say, $20, it shouldn't. If it's going to break you, you shouldn't be playing DFS. Again, bill money, DFS money are not one and the same. Go back to one of the very first videos that I did. Rule number 2, play more sports, play more slates. Exactly what I do now. I play just about every single slate. I'm starting to dip into some of the showdowns. I just want to spread out my risk, spread out my variance. Let's say you're putting in, $100 into play, and you're able to, turn that into $20 of profit. That adds up over the course of the year. That's a 20% ROI. That's better than most people get in the stock. It's better than Warren Buffett gets in a good year on the stock market. So approach it with an investment mindset. Alex recommends playing every slate to reach your long-term goals faster. And that makes a lot of sense. If you were on a team for the main slate and they sucked, but you were on the right team for the night slate, you probably walked away with a winning night. You don't need a lot to go right in DFS to have a really big night. The other thing he talks about is reducing inner lineup correlation, and this is some of the stuff that we talked about in the builds in the DFS deep dive in the previous 2 video series that we've done. We talked about using uniques, player caps, and then he talks about randomness in his article. I went to great lengths to talk to you about why randomness is a bad idea, but on the new FC Pro feature that Dave has created, the randomness now is actually really, really good. So I have FC Pro, the advanced options. So the normal distribution randomness is much, much better. Manny did a great video on it on his stream, so check that out if you want to see it in action. But that's pretty much the 2 articles from Alex that I've read a bunch. My main takeaways, how I'd apply it to my game, and we'll wrap up here and we'll go into the number 1 thing that I learned from Alex Awesemo.